Welcome inside the RXMuscle studios here in New York for another episode of Ask Dave, better known as #AskDave, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Visit speciesnutrition.com. I'm your host, Adib Faruqi. 30-minute question and answer show with Dave Palumbo. All your questions on diet, training, supplementation, IFBB pros, competitions, of course. We're now in the latter stages of the post-Olympia tour, so any of your questions about what's gone on over the last 6 weeks, it is all on the table as we bring in Dave Palumbo. Dave, tomorrow, exciting day as we bring back Iron Debate, and I'm not going to reveal who the special guest is. We have a special live with early in the afternoon, but we are bringing back Iron Debate. It's going to be fun talking about everything that's gone on with the Olympia and the post-Olympia tour over the last 6 weeks.
Yeah, it should be great. I know a lot of people have been asking me about Iron Debate, and we might even have a special. I'm talking with John Romano. We might do a special tribute show to Arthur L. Ray, who passed away, who was a good friend of ours and who sponsored all the early RXMuscle coverage and made the RXMuscle.com website actually a possibility back in the day. And so we're pretty sad to hear that he passed this past week. And John Romano and I have a lot of funny stories about Arthur, and maybe we'll sit down and write those out, and we might do a little bit of a tribute show to him if we have some time tomorrow. You know, it's been very hectic over here. A lot of people, know it. A lot of people don't know, but we're moving the operations. Like The Godfather moved out to Las Vegas, we're moving down to Florida. The RXMuscle studios, the Species Nutrition companies moving down there, as well as myself, my family, and Johnny Styles and his wife, Corrine. So we'll all be moving down there. Sid will be working remotely. And hopefully we won't be down too long, maybe a couple days, hopefully no more than a week. It's tricky when you're moving to a place that you're not that familiar with and setting up everything. But I will tell you this, if necessary, we will be at Second Chance Fitness. That's Mel Chancey's gym. We have an open invite to film there, do whatever we want there. So if we have to, have a makeshift studio set up there. Johnny and I will be down at Mel Chancey's gym, and which is only 20 minutes from where we're living. So that'll be exciting. So there's a lot of great stuff coming up in the next weeks. Of course, the Olympia Europe is coming up, Mr. Olympia Europe. That's in 2 weeks, I believe. And that's going to be quite the show. And I noticed Dexter Jackson's going to be there, Sean Roden, Big Ramy. All the big names will be doing this. And it's gonna literally be the Mr. Olympia minus Phil Heath, only in Europe. So that's going to be super exciting. The fact that these guys held on for as long as they did to do this show is a testament to the fact that this show might become a very big show in the future, and that's going to be held in Germany. We will have contest photos from that show exclusively at RXMuscle.com.
Live now on our YouTube channel as well as RXMuscle.com, live with Lou Ferrigno. Of course, the Ferrigno Legacy coming up in just a matter of a few days, this Sunday, October 16th. So Dave with Lou Ferrigno available right now, RXMuscle.com and the YouTube channel. Let's go to our questions.
Well, I got to say something about Lou Ferrigno because Lou was my childhood hero, and he's the only person I actually get excited about in almost a fan sense, because I really don't. To me, I'm not a fan of anyone. Dorian was a guy I looked up to because of his work ethic. But Louis was like a guy when I was, as a kid watching the Incredible Hulk specials that I wanted to be like. I wanted to be the Incredible Hulk. And luckily, I actually got to play the Incredible Hulk on TV a few times. But so when I get to interview Louis, I just get so excited. He's got the show coming up. I actually got him to do the Hulk impression. He actually did it for me. And he talked about his new movie he's in, which he looks... For 64 years old, this guy looks amazing. You got to watch the Live with Lou Ferrigno episode we just put up. You're going to love it. It's truly entertaining, and there's a lot of great information that Louis tells us. I didn't ask him about Donald Trump purposely because I know he's a big Trump, not only he's a Trump supporter, but he's a Trump friend because he was on Celebrity Apprentice with Donald, and I know Louis really likes him a lot, and I didn't want to talk politics with him because we were really promoting his show, but Louis has got, I can't wait to get him back on again. I mean, I could talk to Louis all day. I know you guys probably don't care about it, but Louis Ferrigno, him and Arnold, I can't get Arnold on the show, so I got to, Lou is the next best thing. But when I watched Pumping Iron as a kid, I rooted for Lou Ferrigno. I didn't know who was going to win. So for me, that's a special show. So guys, make sure you check that out. I know you're going to like the episode.
If you want to join in, ask a question, you can join us in the Muscle Central Forum on our YouTube chat, asking the questions on the chat box on the right-hand side of the video screen. on our Facebook page, Instagram page, official_RXMuscle, or by tweeting your questions using hashtag AskDave. We go to PTB. Hello, Dave. All the best on the move to Florida, both personally and professionally. I'm a daily user of red apple cider vinegar with Mother, but I'm observing in the bottle a slimy, gelatinous mixture forming. I'm not sure if it's gone bad or whether I should still use it. What is causing this formation? Is it still usable? Should I strain it to remove the slimy substance?
I'm not really sure what you're referring to, but the slimy substance is probably at the bottom, and that's probably part of the pulp. You got to remember, apple cider vinegar, has pulp in it. At least the one from Bragg's with Mother. The Mother is the pulp. The pulp is what's supposed to be the alkalinizing agent in there. So, as long as nothing's gotten into the bottle itself, nothing can grow in vinegar. It's way too acidic. So just shake it up really good and use it. When I get down to the bottom of the bottle of mine, when I use, it's pretty nasty down there. My wife won't even. She'll walk away from me when I shake it up and use it. But I don't care. I think the bottom is the best part, probably the healthiest part.
Let's go to Anon. Dave did a 10-week cycle followed by a 3-week cycle. 3 weeks of PCT. Is 12 weeks enough before I can start my next cycle?
Yeah, I think that 12 weeks off is plenty of time. Usually 8 to 12 weeks is pretty good, depending on how long you've been on. If I have guys that are on the whole year, I try to get them off 10 to 12 weeks. If they've only been on, 16, 18 weeks, you could probably get away with 6 weeks even. So the off period is more dependent on how long you've been on for.
P. Lyman or Lemon. Dave, the best way to get rid of acanthosis, and you might want to give a primer to the viewers who probably have no idea what acanthosis is.
Acanthosis is a dark velvety patch on your skin. It usually occurs in the groin area, under the arms, under the neck. It looks like almost like a shadow there, and that's not to be confused with what a lot of bodybuilders, myself included, get on the lower legs. Sometimes people get like some dark pigmenting, almost looks like you're tan, but you're not really tanning completely. That supposedly is just from broken blood vessels. When I was 319 pounds, I'd walk around and probably break blood vessels in the lower legs because of squatting and deadlifting and God knows what else was going on. And I had so much weight down there, and I have very thin skin. And what would happen is, I think because my skin was so thin and translucent, the dead blood would basically get trapped in there. Now, I've noticed that since I've lost weight, little by little, these dark patches, now they've been there for 15 years, have slowly lightened. And I noticed that they lightened a lot more when I put virgin coconut oil on there. I was rubbing it on there every day, and it lightened them up a lot. So I think it's just a circulation issue over there. But that's not the same as acanthosis, or they call it acanthosis nigricans, I think it's called. It's a condition, once again, it could be caused, a lot of people think it's caused by insulin resistance or diabetes. They think it could be caused by if you have active tumors in your body. And really the only way to treat it is to treat the underlying condition. If it's caused by a diabetic type of situation, obviously correcting your blood sugars is an easy fix, or is a fix. If you have an active tumor in your body, obviously we don't want that there, so we're going to get rid of that. I haven't seen it in too many bodybuilders, too many people. More so in the bodybuilders, I just see the darkening pigments in the lower legs, and that, once again, that's just caused by broken blood vessels.
Let's go to Corey or Core Lock. 2 weeks ago, I started a small 12-week anabolic cycle, 600 test, 300 deca week, as well as hydrotrophin, growth hormone 2 IU upon waking each AM. I plan to run GH indefinitely. This is my first experience with GH. Question: how do I know it's actually working? In parentheses, he says, I've already had carpal tunnel for years. Is it too soon to notice any effects? Is 2 IU enough?
I never, ever got carpal tunnel from taking GH. Ever. Never got any numbness to my fingers. So I don't think that that's the way you can tell. I would tell by I would be retaining a little more fluid. I would feel better pumps. I would feel like I was, recovering quicker. When I was younger and I took it, I would notice my wisdom teeth moving around my mouth a lot, okay? Believe it or not, most people think, well, you don't need to take growth hormone until you're older, but you actually respond better to it when you're younger because you have better receptors for it. So there's no test right now. And as you guys know, I sell on DavePalumbo.com a product called Roid Test, which was developed by Bill Llewellyn, and I'm the exclusive distributor in the United States. And you can test all your anabolic steroids to see if they're legitimate. And it's a great product. I sell a ton of this stuff. It's a cheap test kit, and it works really accurately. And the new ones are out now that are even more accurate, and they're on DavePalumbo.com. But I've been trying to get Bill Llewellyn to develop a test for growth hormone and IGF-1, and right now there is none. They're trying, protein hormones are a little more difficult than steroidal hormones. And I believe that they will come up with a kit eventually, but for now, there's really no way to tell for sure.
Mariano Rivera, no, we know, YouTube user, it is not the real Mariano Rivera. I plan to start, somebody actually thought last week that I really thought Mariano Rivera's first post on RXMuscle.com was talking about anabolics. I plan to start taking creatine when my cycle is over to compensate for the strength loss. Should I start taking it as soon as I start PCT or wait until PCT is over?
Taking what again?
Creatine.
Oh, creatine. I would take it. You could take it right after the cycle ends. Why not? I mean, you can take it while you're on the cycle if you want. Creatine is one of these great things that it's just a supplement. It's going to volumize the muscle a little bit. It's going to give you better endurance in the gym, and I like it. Make sure you use a micronized creatine monohydrate so it solubilizes better. Species. Everyone's always asking when Species coming out with a creatine product. We had one years ago. It was a liquid solubilized creatine. It was great, but didn't taste that great. But it was very expensive. We are coming out with a new ultra micronized creatine monohydrate. The mixability will be terrific, and I hope to get it out before the end of the year. It was just hard finding a manufacturer who could make the creatine micronized enough to my liking. I have very high specifications. I'm a very high maintenance person when it comes to the products I put out. So, but I think you guys will appreciate it when it does hit the market.
Jay Lopez for Dave, I have a question regarding your fiber lies. Just wondering if you happen to change or tweak the formula. I noticed the calories in the newer bottles are less than a previous bottle I had a few months back. Also, I noticed the texture and mixability is much different.
Yeah, we did change the mixability, and we did change the formula. And what I did was, there was a lot of people out there who were complaining to me that they were gluten intolerant, or they eat a gluten-free diet. And I had wheat bran in there as the source of insoluble fiber. So what I did was, I modified the formula, and I took the wheat fiber out, and I put corn fiber in instead. Okay, and that's still the same. So the insoluble fiber did not change the amount. Okay, the soluble fiber stayed the same with the psyllium. I also took out the hemp fiber, which really wasn't a lot in there anyway, because I couldn't sell that in Australia, and it wasn't doing much anyway. We took the coloring out of the product too, because you have a couple of health nuts that don't want the artificial colors, and I can understand that. So, but the flavoring system is exactly the same. The mixability might be a little different, although fiber doesn't really mix that well anyway, just because we changed wheat to corn, but essentially it's the same. I'm sure in 2 weeks no one will even know the difference, and it's a better product because we took some of the, like I said, the coloring out, and now it's gluten-free. Maybe Cedric wouldn't like it because I know Cedric likes to eat gluten, but there's a lot of people out there that eat gluten-free diets.
Let's go to Droll Answer. Drolls, Dave, what is your protocol for Arimidex during a contest prep cycle? Do you recommend bumping Arimidex to 1 mg per day last 4 weeks to the show to help dry out?
I usually do tell people to bump it to a milligram a day the last week, or the last 4 weeks actually, before a show. Some people don't need that much. Sometimes it's too much for people. If they're starting to get side effects of low estrogen, which is like, really the sex drive decreases a lot, which might happen anyway at the last 4 weeks. If the joints start to hurt more, if they're not getting a pump as much, I might cut it back to a 0.5 milligram every day. But most guys who are on, pretty heavy cycles, leading into a show, need 1 milligram a day.
Let's go to Jack. Dave, if a woman in a ketogenic diet is losing 2 to 3 pounds a week, and it's been 4 weeks so far on the diet and has lost 13 pounds, how do you calculate the protein and fat for the 5th and onward weeks? Is it based on the current weight or the starting weight still? I guess that's the first question. Let's go with that one first.
I don't reduce food just because a person loses weight unless they're not losing weight anymore. Okay, so you understand what I'm saying? So whatever the diet is, if they're losing weight consistently, and, I'm tweaking other variables like cardio and some fat burners in there, and everything is progressing well, even though they lost 10, 15, 20 pounds, I don't reduce the food. The food is always the last variable that I adjust, because I always want people to eat as much as possible and still lose weight, because that's going to make their compliability with the diet much better, and it's going to keep them, more muscular and being able to recover. Once I have to reduce the food, they have less resources to repair their bodies. So once again, it's based on the progress the person's making.
Let's go to Cowboys fan, longtime listener, first time on the forum, hate the show. Dave, when increasing calories during a bulk, what do you suggest for increments? I don't want to go from 3,000 to 6,000 overnight. That's a recipe for massive fat gain. I've heard to increase by 500 calories a week. I've also heard 500 every 4 days. What do you suggest?
Well, I don't go by calories. I don't even know how many calories my clients eat. I go by macronutrients, protein, fat, carbs. Usually if a person's not gaining well, because I usually give people a lot of protein, so if they're not gaining well after a couple of weeks, I'll usually up fats first, because I'll be more conservative with the fats. I might add a tablespoon or 2 or 3 even of macadamia nut oil, or I might add a couple half avocados in there. If the fat intake, or upping the fat intake, if that doesn't help, then I'll up carbs next, believe it or not. If that doesn't work, then I'll up protein. And if that doesn't work, then I go back to carbs again. So, once again, some people have crazy metabolisms. And, I usually start people out at maybe 200 grams of carbs if they're a male. So for some people, that's nothing. For other guys, they'll get fat on that amount. But some guys, they need a lot. So I kind of assess who I'm working with beforehand. So I usually have a pretty good guesstimate as what they need. But if I get caught by surprise, then then I have to up food a little faster. So once again, I mess with fat first, then protein, then carbs.
Let's take one more from the Muscle Central forum on RXMuscle.com. If you're not already a member, it is free to register. Register and you'll have access to all our areas, including the contest galleries. Go to Death Rider. Dave, is it okay to continue injecting in scar tissue areas? I have scar tissue in almost every injection site.
Well, that's a good question. I was getting some scar tissue in my arms, my biceps, from doing synthol injections, and I don't know if it was scar tissue. It was just getting hard there. So what I realized was I don't want to you don't want to inject into the scar tissue. You got to get through it. So you got to make sure you use a longer needle to perforate that scar tissue. However, if it's starting to feel like a shell, like a turtle shell almost, that's way too hard. I would stay away from that area, because that means something's going on. Also, if you're getting scar tissue of that magnitude, there might be something wrong with the gear you're using, because your gear should not be, scarring up that severely. Also, another mistake I see people use, and I know people are going to deny doing this, but they do it. They use the same syringe like 40 times. After you use a syringe once, even though it might seem like it's still sharp, and it might look sharp under with your naked eye, those things get dull so quickly. If you look at a syringe under a microscope after one injection, the tip that looks like sharp to the naked eye looks like this. Literally, it's like a hook. You wouldn't believe it. So if you start jamming a hook into your body, even though it's really small, you're damaging a lot of tissue. So when you damage a lot of tissue, you get scar tissue. Make sure you change your syringes every single injection.
Let's go to our YouTube channel now. Of course, if you're watching us live on YouTube, this is the first time you're watching us on YouTube, hit the subscribe button below. You're not going to miss this or any of the other shows that we have. Muscle in the Morning, which is on a daily basis, your daily recap of the news in the bodybuilding world and fitness, especially this show, Iron Debate, Iron Rage, our brand new show, Versus. Let's go to Wakar M. Oh, we got another guy saying, Sid. Dave, what are the side effects for a natural bodybuilder taking Anavar who has never taken steroids before, and what will happen once you come off Anavar? Wakar, it might be my brother. My brother's name Wakar.
Really? That's an interesting
be weird.
Name. Well, if you're a natural bodybuilder and you're taking Anavar, you're not a natural bodybuilder anymore. So what are the side effects? Anavar for men really have no side effects, to be honest with you. It does increase strength. You'll see a little bit of muscle gain from it. You don't really notice any water retention. It doesn't aromatize into estrogen, so you're not going to get estrogenic side effects. It doesn't convert to DHT, so you shouldn't lose any hair or have any prostate issues. It's a pretty pure anabolic. The problem is that if you take too much of it, you water your own testosterone down. That's right. You're going to have too much anabolic, not enough androgenic hormone there. So I know guys that have taken just Anavar cycles and taken like 50 to 100 milligrams a day, which is crazy, and they've lost their sex drive. So you got to be careful with that. But like I said, it doesn't convert to anything, so it's not going to shut your natural endogenous testosterone down. So when you stop it, you don't have to do a PCT or anything like that. So once again, I usually recommend Anavar for women. For men, it's kind of a waste. You have to take too many of them.
Let's go back to the YouTube chat room and go to Alex1407. Dave, what do you think about fake nutrition facts on whey and other products in the industry? Any way to filter good versus bad companies?
Look, you get what you pay for. I said it a million times before. I've seen this, some products. I remember that. I don't even know if they're around anymore. It was called All the Way. It was, I think, from Pennsylvania. Their products were notoriously dosed incorrectly. I'll leave it at that, okay? Look, if a company's gotten caught in a lawsuit, okay, because there's protein spiking or they're not putting the ingredients they're supposed to be putting in their products, that's a company that I would stay away from, because you know what? It's like dating the girl who lies to you and cheats behind your back and then tells you, I'm so sorry, take me back, I'll never do it again. You know she's going to do it again, because if she did it once and got away with it, she'll do it again and do it away with it. So I would not go back to any companies that have lied and gotten caught and that we know are not doing the right thing, because that means that the people running the companies are unscrupulous. And yeah, sure, there are some people that are victims to the manufacturer not putting what they say in it, but I'll tell you one thing I know about manufacturing. Manufacturers test all the products. They have to have, testing, sheets that they test all the raws when they come in. So I don't believe the manufacturers will try to pull a fast one on you, although I'm sure there are some out there. If you're a big company and you're getting caught doing something you shouldn't be doing, it's probably because you told the manufacturer to do that. And once again, you get what you pay for. Stick with reputable companies that have full transparency on their labels, that don't try to put food labels instead of supplement fact panels. These are the things that you need to educate yourself about before going out and buying, expensive products. Now, I might, a lot of people have asked me, and I said, you know what, I could probably hold a whole course on how to read food labels and nutrition labels. And I think I might do it. And I might get like 10 people and take them to the supermarket and show them, and this health food store, and show them how to read labels and what to look for and deceptive marketing ploys. Because I am sick of people getting taken advantage of. I'm sick of people spending their hard-earned money and not getting what they're supposed to be paying for. And quite frankly, it's hard for me to educate enough people out there. I think we need to start spreading the word more about what to look for in deceptive marketing ploys.
Let's go back to our YouTube chat room and check in with 328MXM. I hate this show so much that I'd rather listen to Donald Trump for gym advice. What do you think about aspirin 100 combined with regular fat burners that have coffee, green tea, etc.?
The whole aspirin, caffeine, ephedra thing was really, and it really was, the aspirin was really, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, was more important when you took ephedra, because what it did was it prevented the breakdown of ephedra. So the ephedra would stay in your system longer. And I believe that, and if I'm not mixing this up, I might be switching it. The caffeine, if you take grapefruit extract with caffeine, the grapefruit will make the caffeine stay around longer. So a lot of those fat burners were what they call the ECA stack: ephedra, caffeine, aspirin, but they also had grapefruit extract in there, and that's so that the caffeine, and the ephedra would stay around longer and last longer.
Let's go back to our YouTube chat room. Again, if you are watching us for the first time on YouTube, we ask that you subscribe. We appreciate all your support. Let's go to Sander Bacco. Dave, what about using estrogen blocker when on cycle of test? Do you take it during cycle or only when needed? No estrogen will give no sex drive, and it also hurts your gains. Please educate.
Everyone wants a knee-jerk take an aromatase inhibitor or estrogen blocker. The truth is that you really should get blood work and see what your estrogen levels are. I was surprised to find that my estrogen levels are normal. So I don't even take an aromatase. And look, I'm on no anabolics right now and no hormone replacement. But when I was on hormone replacement, I still didn't need an aromatase inhibitor. I don't know if I permanently disabled it from all the years of aromatase use, anti-aromatase use. whatever the case is, I don't need an aromatase inhibitor because my estrogen levels are normal, even on 100 or 200 milligrams a week of testosterone. So for me, by finding that information out, I realized I don't need to use it. Other people could take the same 200 milligrams of testosterone a week, and they could have an estrogen level through the roof. So you got to get tested. That's the only accurate way to make the right choice.
Let's take one more from our YouTube channel. Wanna play? Dave, answer my question. Would you recommend DNP with me being a vegan since DNP burns on carbs?
I wouldn't recommend anyone take DNP ever at any time in their life. It's very dangerous. It's very easy to overdose because the effective dose and the lethal dose are very close together. Why would anyone? That would be like, saying, I'm going to take some rat poison. And everyone's like, why would you take rat poison? Well, it makes me burn fat better. Well, why would you want to risk that? What's the dose? Well, the dose of great fat burning is 30 milligrams. Well, what's the dose of dying from this stuff? 35 milligrams. To me, that's way too close for comfort, and that's the same way DNP is, and that's why every once in a while we hear about a casualty. People know I interviewed the enhanced athlete Tony Huge on YouTube, and I asked him the same thing, and I said, are you nuts? You're taking what was he taking? 1,000 milligrams or something like that, or 100 milligrams? I think he was taking 100 milligrams per day. No, he was taking 1,000. Was it Johnny? You remember what he told me? He was taking like 1,000 milligrams of DNP a day. I said, you're out of your mind. Out of your mind. If anyone else did that, they would be dead. I don't know how he's not dead, but once again, there's variability from person to person. Just because you see someone do something online doesn't mean it's right. And it doesn't mean it works either. When someone takes DNP and loses body fat, a lot of times it's because they're dieting really hard and they're doing cardio and they're taking fat burners and stuff like that. So don't assume that there's anything that's going to miraculously make you look ripped or miraculously make you look like Mr. Olympia. It's not out there. It's all about hard work.
Let's go to our Instagram questions. If you're not following us on Instagram, our handle is official_RXMuscle. Let's go to, love the name, IFBB Bro. Dave, how do you approach carb depletion, if at all, entering peak week?
Usually my athletes are on very low carbs already, so I don't need to deplete them more. I just fill them up at the end, especially the women. Now, the guys that are eating carbs, I might cut them back a little bit to maybe like, 80 grams of carbs a day we might go to. And then as soon as the carb up starts on Thursday and Friday for a Saturday show, I'll put the carbs back in. So I don't really need to deplete. Now, if I do have... Here's the issue. People say, well, Dave, you have athletes that you do have eat a lot of carbs, and that is true. And what do you do with those people? Well, what do I do with them is that they're already eating a lot of carbs. I don't want to deplete them, okay, because I'm feeding them the carbs so that they don't get too flat. And as you guys know, at the end, it's very hard to fill up if you're in a depleted and dehydrated state. So what I do is I try to just keep them on a steady schedule. Like I'll give you, for instance, I'm helping Marcus Haley for this Phoenix Europa 212 show. He's never done a 212. We had to starve him down to weight. I made him work out real vigorously. The last, 20-something weeks, he's been working his butt off. And he's, now we're down to the last week, and I'm feeding him carbs like the last couple of days. And he's like, "What are you feeding me carbs? You didn't feed me carbs the whole, the last couple of weeks of the diet to get me in shape. Why are you feeding me now? Shouldn't I be depleting?" I'm like, "You're losing weight. I'm feeding you carbs. So why wouldn't I? Let's keep you full. We don't need to try to fill you out at the very end. If we can keep you full all week, you're going to look better." And that's exactly what we're doing.
Let's go to Adam_Canham. Dave, what would a typical chest workout have looked like back when you were trying to maximize growth and size?
I would go into the gym. I would warm up I usually do some rotator cuff exercises, warm those things up, okay, so that I didn't pull them or hurt them or anything like that, because that was always a distinct possibility. I would go over to the incline barbell press, but I would use not a steep one, less steep, like maybe 35 degrees. And I would do a couple warm-up sets with maybe the bar and maybe 135, and then I would go up to 225, and then I'd go up to 265, and then I go to 315, and then I go to 365, and then I go to 405, and finish off with 405 for as many reps as I could. I think I got 6 to 7 reps at one point, and then that would be it. I go on to the next exercise. The key is don't overtrain those pecs. If you want big, thick pecs, don't overtrain them. Because if they're a weak body part for you, it means that they're not responding to volume training. It means you need to take more rest and make them respond to, specific exercises, okay, that are targeted for high intensity type lifting. In other words, you want to stimulate them maximally in the shortest period of time and then get out of the gym. People ask me, well, should I do chest twice a week? No, you want to train it less because you're not recovering from once a week. So why are you going to do twice a week? It's going to make it worse.
Let's go to Jason CH33. If given a choice, would you think getting enough meals in is more important than getting enough sleep?
I think sleep is integral to building muscle. I would rather go to sleep and get more sleep and wake up in the middle of the night and guzzle a shakedown. Believe me, back in the day, I did it all the time. I would wake up at 2 in the morning and I would wake up at like 5 in the morning and I would drink down, and this is back in the Metrex days where they had the white packets. I would throw a Metrex in with an Ultra Fuel, which was a twin layer product back in the day. It was 100 grams of carbs. I would blend it up and I'd freaking guzzle it down. Nowadays, if I recommend for people to do that, I usually do 50 grams of whey isolate. Okay, I tell people to take. I'll have them do maybe some, like some carbs like that, maybe coconut water, or I might have them do a scoop of Carbolize, or I might have them just, like I said, do some coconut water and mix it with some coconut butter even, or even mix it with some macadamia nut oil and blend it up. Because to me, at night, you really don't need a lot of carbs. In the middle of the night, it's just going to kind of sit in your stomach and get stored as fat. So once again, it's a very dependent process depending on how the person looks.
We have a few more questions to squeeze into a short period of time, so let's go rapid fire. Jimmy DXXR, Dave, I asked you about PRP for hair regrowth many months ago, and you said that it doesn't work. Now you're going to do it yourself. What the hell? ? Can you please make a video of your procedure?
Well, Johnny and I were supposed to go on Friday to Dr. Dana Elias. Okay, I think that's the name. Dana Ellis, excuse me, up in Connecticut, New Haven, Connecticut. Actually, it was supposed to be this past Friday. And with all the moving and everything like that, and I couldn't do it. It just was too much. It was too far. It was like 2.5, almost 3-hour drive each way. I didn't have the time to do it. I don't know if I'm going to have time to do it before I leave. I don't know if it works. I'm very skeptical of the procedure of putting, the PRP in your head to regrow hair. And once I talked to the doctor, she said it's got to be done several times. So I don't know. Does it work? Maybe. I need to do some more research on it. I would like to try it though, because if it does work, I'll be a happy camper and I could pass it on to you. If it doesn't work, then I just got a sore head.
We're going to have 3 questions related to your Diet Guru class, so we'll try to cluster them in here. Landon Rush. Dave, other than your guru class, are there any other credible sources of information on diet, training, supplementation that you could recommend?
Someone emailed me, said, Dave, when are you going to write is there any books out there that cover diet, nutrition, supplementation, performance-enhancing drugs? And I said, yeah, the one I haven't written yet. The one I should have written 15 years ago, but I probably know more today. I just don't have time to do it. That's why I put these videos out and I answer all these questions, because I just don't have time to write the definitive book yet. I will one day. I'm sure one day, and I know how my body works. One day I'll get an itch in my head to do it. I'll sit down for the whole weekend. I'll probably write 5 days straight and write the whole book. That's just the way it's going to happen. Right now, I don't feel it. I'm not ready for that, to sit down and do that daunting task, because it's going to involve a lot of stuff that I have to bring into play. As far as other books out there, I haven't seen any. Nothing that's impressed me with the right knowledge and very accurate information. So I advise you keep tuning in here, submit your questions, and hopefully I'll be able to answer all of them.
So 2 fairly relevant questions about the Guru course. One from Flexing_Joe, basically asking what your plan is now that you're moving to Florida. Will you be offering them solely in Florida, or will you be coming up to New York to teach them? And then the second one from Ahab Al-Nakib. Would you consider doing the courses live online as well for people who live abroad, perhaps a cam and a chat room and an actual virtual class?
I will not do it online. I won't make videos of it. I won't tape it, audio tape it. If you want to take the class and you want to learn, I believe you must be there in person. That means dedicating yourself to making the journey. It's like, how they used to trek out to the Mecca, the real Mecca in Saudi Arabia. you got to make a pilgrimage out to me wherever I happen to be. We will be holding the class in Florida, in Cape Coral, once our new offices are built. That should probably take maybe a month or two. Probably by the end of November it'll be done. So I hope by the end of the year I can hold a course in Florida. I have people who have come from Australia more than one time. I've had people from Sweden. I've had people from all over the world have come and taken this course. All over the country have taken the course. And it amazes me, but I understand people are passionate and they want information. And when I want information about something, I will go anywhere, And I think that it's important that you make that move. And you know what? A lot of times you meet people doing these pilgrimages, making these trips out to take these courses that will influence the rest of your life. You'll make relationships. You'll meet people. You'll learn something. And you never know, opportunities present themselves. I'm a big believer in living your passion, and don't worry about the money. Okay, it's not an exorbitant amount of money. It's probably, my Diet Guru course is probably better information than you'll get from 4 years of college. Okay, it's because it's all relevant to what we're doing here. And the bottom line is, if you want to take the class, there's only one more spot. I might open a second spot. You got to go on DavePalumbo.com and sign up. And you get the course, you get a free dinner at Sushi Village, you get lunch at Taco Joe's, you get a nice gift bag of stuff that we give you here at Species Nutrition, and it's an all-around great time. It is 10 hours, but we all become very close and we bond by the end of the course, and I think you guys will take this knowledge and you will use it for the rest of your life.
Jamie, the exception. Dave, my question is based on sponsorship of an athlete. What do supplement companies look for in athletes for sponsorships? How big of a role does social media play in this? And what is the difference in the levels of sponsorships? Also, what's in it for the athlete and the company? It's a relevant question these days.
Yeah, they're very good questions. I mean, and the question is, why would someone hire you? And I can only speak for myself, and Sid could probably speak to this too, because we're always thinking about who we can hire and get to work with Species Nutrition that will help the brand. And while social media is important, to me, I like educators, people who actually are viewed out there as people of good character, people who are trustworthy, people who are honest. And that's why I have, Brian Yursky working with us, representing online. Fred Smalls contacted me after he lost his contract and said, "Hey, Dave, I'd love to work with Species," and we got him working with us. These are good guys. These are guys that have good moral values. They have good families values. They take good care of their kids. They have great wives. And that's the image I want to portray. Obviously, it's always good to have a bad boy, too. But I want guys that I can be proud of and say, these guys are good guys. They'll, take the shirt off their back for you. I miss having Akeem Williams. I loved having him work for me. I've had some great athletes in the past. Guy Cisternino worked for us in the past. So the bottom line is that, what is going to bring money into the company? If I hire you and pay you $25,000 a year, I got to be able to justify that and at least make that money back. The problem is that, a lot of times athletes don't bring in more cash flow unless they're hooking up certain, relationships with maybe foreign countries or distributors that they know. Then it's also worth it. So don't get insulted if the company doesn't want to sponsor you. There has to be a benefit to both people.
Snowbarber 4, Dave, like you and Justin Compton, I've noticed bloating from chicken. Can you cut it out completely, or should you still have it at least one meal including it?
What I found is that if I used to eat like 8, 10, 12 ounces of chicken at a serving, and it would bother my stomach invariably. Okay? If I eat less than 6 ounces, 5 ounces, 4 ounces of chicken at a meal, I digest it perfectly. It doesn't bother me at all. So I think that some people maybe eat too much protein, dare I say. I think you're better off eating more frequent meals with less protein per meal. And I've been doing that for my athletes and spreading out the meals a little bit better, giving them more meals, a little less protein at those meals.
We'll take 3 quickly here. Anthony.Reynoso, hey, Dave, how easy was it for you to tune out all negative aspects during prep, and what was your motivation for staying with bodybuilding?
I hit a point in 1998 or 99, I think it was, where I did get a little depressed. And I said, you know what? I won the junior nationals in the heavyweight class in 95. I placed top 4 at the Nationals in 96. In 97, I think I was also top 5. And after that, my placing started going down, and I couldn't figure out why. And it was really depressing me because I really believed you had to be a pro if you want to do well in this business and make a living. And so I was doing a lot of guest posings at the time. So I'm like, you know what? I always wanted to live this bodybuilding lifestyle, support myself. I am doing guest posings, doing seminars. I'm making money. I have a sponsor metrics. Who cares? So I had to find the light at the end of the tunnel. I had to, talk to myself and basically realize that, you know what, I'm kind of living the dream, so to speak, that I wanted to live. So who's better than me? And I think that everyone out there can find a niche for themselves if you look hard enough and you really focus on what you love doing. As everyone knows, I breed snakes now. I'm not making any money breeding snakes. Yeah, I might sell one here and there, but I'm spending way more on feeding them. I'm spending way more on buying other stuff because I'm like addicted to it, the hobby. But I know at some point in the future that there will be a payoff for what I'm doing. I'm kind of laying the foundation. You got to lay the foundation first before you can start demanding, salaries from people.
Let's go to Martine89. Will Letro reverse gynecomastia completely?
That's a good question. And I got someone asking me that. Someone thought, hey, if I take an aromatase inhibitor like Arimidex or Letrozole or Aromacin, that my gyno is going to go away permanently. And that's just not the case. And a lot of people, they take it, it doesn't do anything for it. It might prevent it from getting worse, but the gyno they have might not even shrink. A lot of times the gyno doesn't shrink unless you go off cycle completely for several, months. Okay? That's a problem, for people because no one wants to have to accept the fact that, hey, I'm going to have to get surgery if I want this lump under my nipple to be gone permanently. And that's why I send people to Dr. Blau. I'm like, you know what? Stop aggravating yourself. Stop driving yourself crazy. Stop worrying about these aromatase inhibitors. Go to Dr. Blau. Have him take it out. Spend the money, whatever it happens to be, $7,000 to $10,000. And then it's done. You never have to use another aromatase inhibitor if you don't want to. You don't have to do anything that you don't want once you get that gyno removed. I know there's a lot of people that I'm friends with that want to get theirs removed. Just do it. Get it out. Then you can stop worrying.
Last question. Real young Kobe Bryant. Dave, who is the best poser of all time, and why did the guys nowadays forget how to pose?
It's a good question. It's a tough question. I don't think there's one right answer for that. I'll tell you some of the guys that I really loved the way they posed. I think Kai Green's mandatories are terrible, but I loved his early routines. I thought they were great, super entertaining. I thought that Melvin Anthony was Melvin Anthony might be the best poser of all time. He's phenomenal. He moves smoothly on stage. He's just really, really good. Now, then you go to people like Fred Smalls, Darren Charles, Tricky Jackson, very entertaining guys on stage. Maybe not the best posers, but they can move. That's impressive to me. And then you got the heroic type pose. I mean, or the guys who pose to the love songs. Flex Wheeler was a terrific poser. Watch Flex's videos. This guy had body awareness like you'd never believe. So, I like all the way these guys pose. A lot of them, were really good poses. Unfortunately, nowadays the art form of posing seems to have gone by the way of the dinosaurs because they don't really judge posing anymore. So, it is what it is, I guess.
Our producer, Johnny Styles, tells us that we're getting a lot of questions, Dave, about when Species is going to be available in the UK and Europe.
All right, Species is in Europe now. It's in the UK. Predator Nutrition carries it. I know a lot of you have complained to me that they're out of stock and that they're not on top of things. I know for a fact there's an order heading over there now. It might even have arrived already. So Predator will definitely have Species. I don't know how many of our products they got. They got a lot of them in there. I also have another person who's potentially might import some stuff into the UK as well. But check out Predator Nutrition's website. They have the products. They should be available for purchase by the time you guys listen to this, which is live. Once again, I'm not sure, but like I said, we sent a ton of stuff over there to Predator. Check them out. You can go to their website and you can email them directly.
That's going to do it for this episode of Ask Dave, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Visit speciesnutrition.com. Reminder, Iron Debate returns tomorrow at 4 p.m. right here on RXMuscle.com. For Dave Palumbo and Johnny Styles, I'm Sadiq Faruqi. We'll see you next time.